morning and welcome to our show.
Here we go.
And hope everybody's doing well out there on a Thursday, and thank goodness Thursday, as far as Lee has joined us, and of course my good friend, and he
Good morning.
is always reliable guest on our show, and of course you're on summer break right now, aren't you?
Oh yeah, but I'm rocking and rolling. I've been busy. I helped Gene Allen move some of his daughter's furniture to Auburn just the other day.
Australia, authentic
I
Australia.
do. Well, where'd you get it?
A lady from Australia mailed it to my mother-in-law.
Well,
Wow.
well, you don't wear hats?
I've got plenty in the...
Well, that is a good-looking hat. Come on over here.
I'm gonna swap places with you. You take this one, and I'll slide to the right.
Yeah.
To the
And
left.
we're moving around here on our morning
we're
show.
The all-new Troy Regional Women's Diagnostic Center brings all of the latest and advanced 3D mammography and breast ultrasound services to the Troy area in our all-new outpatient facility. Dr. Lauren Thorington, along with our team of certified breast specialists, read your mammograms, which are performed by our registered radiologic technologists, bringing the best in women's healthcare to the Troy area. Troy Regional Women's Diagnostic Center.
I wish you could taste how much better food tastes when cooked on a Green Mountain grill. But I can let you in on the reason that's true. Our pellets contain water, so they create steam while you cook, keeping your food moist. Does a gas or charcoal grill do that? I think not.
Come and see us at Southern Grill and Patio, just off the square in Troy.
Hey, Jim Jackson with Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC right here in Troy, Alabama, and we've got some exciting news for you. After a 2-year suspension, GM has now reintroduced the sold order process on the redesigned GMC Sierra 1500 and Chevrolet Silverado 1500. So come in and order yours today and not have to wait 6 months to get exactly what you want. So come see us at Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Troy, where you too can experience the Jackson satisfaction.
And across it. Back to our show, brought to you by Bill Jackson Chevrolet, Bill Jackson Ford on the bypass in Troy, and of course Bill Jackson, the late Bill Jackson, my dear friend, and of course Jim, my dear friend, have been in business in Troy for a long time, and I'm wearing a hat this morning. I'm gonna take it off in a minute and show you my pretty face, but this is a authentic Australian hat. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll give you the story. My mother-in-law, Liz Fryer, is a
Very
big
pretty lady.
pet lover. Matter of fact, it's her birthday today. Happy birthday,
Happy
Liz.
birthday to you, and many more.
And-
I got some hair out of place. I'm sorry.
So, Liz is a pet lover, and especially pugs, and she wrote a great book about some of her pugs, and she's real active on pug web chat sites. So there's a community of pug lovers throughout the world.
Yeah.
And one of her pug friends is from Australia.
Australia.
And this lady, a couple weeks ago, sent Liz a care package. She knows all about Liz's family and grandkids, and she sent a care package with gifts for everybody in the family.
Yeah.
Me, Carrie, Jack, Maggie. We got a boomerang from her, actually a boomerang.
Oh, really? That's something, yeah.
And I got this Australian hat right here.
And you're welcome to keep it. I mean, I like it.
I've got plenty of hats, and you've given me so many things. I'm gonna give you some.
Well, I have plenty of hats too.
So isn't that nice that that lady, with her own money, paid for all these gifts, sent them across the Pacific Ocean to America? You know, it took forever because they couldn't mail anything in Australia forever, but we've got it.
It's called Australia. Australia.
Yes,
And do we have any songs that feature Australia in them?
The Land Down Under.
There's
The
no
band AC/DC
yeah.
is from Australia.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I like this hat and I appreciate
Keith
it.
Urban from Australia.
He is.
Yeah, there's a lot of Australian entertainers and athletes and so forth. Of course, welcome to our show. This is a Thursday on our show. We go on Facebook across the country, actually across the world.
In Australia, they're watching us.
And they're watching us this
Good day,
morning.
Mick.
Good morning to you. I don't know what time it is over there, but it's different than ours.
It's probably tomorrow over there.
Yeah. You know, and of course, I had a friend that recently got back from Australia on some business. He had to go there on some business. I asked him, I said, how long was the flight? He said 16 hours.
Oh, my
That's a pretty long flight, isn't it? And he said they're longer routes in Australia, but that's what he was on. American, wasn't a charter, but it was a American plane.
I got an airplane story. For some reason, we were watching the movie Stranger Things, the TV show, and one of the characters made a comment about she wasn't going to buckle up in the airplane because if she did, it wouldn't save her if the airplane crashed. And I said to my wife, aha, but there's a reason you wear those seat belts in the air, because the plane might hit pockets of turbulence. And I said, as a matter of fact, my own brother and late father had an experience where that actually happened when they were flying to Switzerland one time.
Yeah.
In a 747, they said. Bobby said that he was sitting down and talking to some gentleman that was standing in the aisle, and suddenly they hit a pocket of turbulence and the plane just dropped, no telling how many feet.
Oh, man.
Bobby said he and that man both flew up and hit the ceiling of the airplane. Several people did, and, no serious injuries. But I've always thought, why? I mean, I said you went up 5 feet in the air and you were looking at other people, and he said, yep.
But by the way, I saw your brother at Sisters yesterday, enjoying a great meal, and Sisters is one of the great places to eat in Alabama. And I tell you, one thing about them, they don't have buffet anymore, but what they do feed you is more than enough. I tell you, they really put food on the plate. Forrest Lee, tell us about what's going on, my friend.
Well, I know y'all discussed the good news about Hugh Fountain coming back to Troy.
Tell us some of your experiences with Hugh Fountain.
I'll say this. A Christian man who walks the walk, and his objective is to mold young men and women and be an impact in their life, so when they tassel out of high school that they'll be a successful person in life in the community. He's recently been ordained.
Wow.
I talked to his wife Susan a couple of days ago. They're excited. HT, the oldest, is married. He is at the University of Alabama at Birmingham as a graduate assistant.
That's great.
Hannah has a beautiful daughter. Her name is Lockler, and they call her Locke. She's about 13 months old, I think. And then Troy, the youngest boy, is out in the Midwest somewhere playing. Will start his second year in small college football.
Oh, okay.
Good morning.
Now, is he still playing football?
Yeah, the little one is, Troy is.
And he plays for a college out
in the Midwest. I'm not sure of the name of the college.
I'm on the Pike Liberal Arts email list for media. And I got a real good press release announcing Coach Fountain's hire. And the press release had some real flattering quotes from Zach Etheridge, that's the coach at Auburn now that played for Coach Fountain.
And he's considered their top recruiter.
He bragged about Coach Fountain and said the same things you said, that he's just a great person for kids to be around. And
I bet he's had at least 15 Division I football players.
Is our picture coming straight in here, or am I mistaken? Hopefully we'll get clear that up a little bit. Of course, it is a Thursday, and a lot going on, and of course, making that big decision. Hugh Fountain leaves his own stomping grounds. Of course, he's from a
He's from Bruton, East Bruton.
Yeah,
He went
East,
to,
East Bruton, yeah.
he didn't go to T.R. Miller, he went to W.S. Neal.
They went to W.S. Neal, the big rival. Have you ever heard the story? He told me this many times. The Battle of Murder Creek, and that goes on once a week, once a year, and that is quite a rivalry, isn't it?
Yes, sir. And
That's probably one of the great rivalries in Alabama sports.
Do you know, we need to research the Battle of Murder Creek. It must have been a pretty big battle because people talk about it all the time.
Jody has my phone, and her phone locked up last night. It went through an update, but now it requires a password, and she has no password. So I'm going to take it to Verizon this morning, see if they can figure it out.
Well, you know what I did the other day, Forrest? I have this flip phone that I've had for a dozen years, and I washed it in some pair of khakis. And, that flip phone that's been so good to me for so long and fits so nicely in my pocket is now deceased.
But you finally are going to have to get another phone.
Well, my wife's been asking me for years to get one of these iPhones everybody has, and I might have to do it.
So, Coach,
it's called a smartphone. It makes you smarter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mike,
I mean
I've got my crew here, Bill Rice and Forrest Lee, and now you are on the phone, and of course we come.
Got the big basketball. The final starts tonight. The Golden State Warriors against the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics. They're looking to win their 18th championship.
I tell you what, that's one of the greatest franchises in American history, right there. But the Boston Celtics.
That would be interesting to learn. Is what pro franchise has won the most championships?
Is it because there was like 12 teams at the time? Putting a very few
Well,
teams,
back when
but
they
still,
when they were winning a lot of them, there you're right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
There's probably only about 12.
You know, they were
They had
famous
the big
because
boys.
they were famous because of what they play on. Do y'all know?
Hardwood floor.
Parquet floors.
Yeah.
You know, they had a parquet floors. Instead of having straight wood, they had it in squares, and it still has it. You know, it's a tradition at Boston. And
Red
of course,
Auerbach.
I was a huge St. Louis Hawk fan growing up, and my favorite player was Bob Pettit, and they actually beat the Boston Celtics for the World Championship one time. And of course, the Celtics won it many other times. But the Celtics had Bill Russell and Bob Cousy and Tommy Heinsohn and
John Havlicek.
John Havlicek, yes sir. But he came a little bit later. Havlicek did. But
they had the point guard was what's his name? That was Cousy.
I mentioned Cousy early, but
They have a kid named Sam White or something.
They had Sam Jones,
Jones.
K.C. Jones. He came off the bench. And like I said, Heinsohn was a great shooter from the corner, and Cousy was real fancy. He threw the ball behind his back a lot. All of coaches won't let you do that
Didn't
anymore.
Cousy shoot underhanded?
Yeah,
free
exactly
throws?
right from his free
One
throws.
of the best, over 90%.
Yeah, exactly.
Calvin Murphy from the Rockets did too.
That's right.
He shot underhand.
So did
Did y'all know that another thing else
Golden
about
State.
Calvin Murphy? Do you know anything else about Calvin Murphy?
Great baton twirler from Houston.
He played at Niagara.
He played at Niagara, and
He's from Texas, but
do you know he was 5 foot?
He's the best free throw shooter of all time.
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
think
what they say.
he didn't shoot him underhand though.
Isn't
Rick
he a
Barry-
world champion baton twirler?
Yeah, he was. He was big in that too.
What's the guy's name again?
But you know,
Calvin
Calvin Murphy was 5'8". That's how tall he was.
Now I want to say that Calvin Murphy, or maybe this was another small guard, was also an excellent tennis player. Because there's one NBA basketball player that actually played a little on the pro circuit.
Yeah.
I know this because Mac Jones' daddy is a great tennis player, and he played a little on the pro circuit, and he once played Murphy in a tournament, in a game, a match.
Coach Fountain, if you're watching this morning, we'd love to hear from you. And of course, you know, Hugh Fountain, a very good friend. You know, I did the playback on cable television through Troy Cablevision for 35 years, and 16 of those years were coached by Hugh Fountain. And of course, you know, I
So
would
that
be.
means you have seen that if Charles Simpson played at least 10 games every year, some
Yeah.
years they went to the playoffs, so
Yeah,
you've
it's-
seen at least 160
Yeah.
Hugh Fountain, Charles Simpson
And
games.
one of the sad things about the playoffs, and I mean this because Mike, you always had to go to Mobile in the first round. You know, it didn't give us much of a chance because the best teams in the country back then were the teams from Mobile.
Yeah, they were loaded, yeah.
You're playing Blunt or
St. Paul's.
sometimes St. Paul.
Well, yeah,
you play
plenty
all
of
those
times
games.
St. Paul. And then, Viger, you know, how many times did we play Viger? Did you know I talked to somebody recently that played on that Viger team where a young man from Troy named Ronaldo Sincade Pennington, and Pennington gained right at 300 yards that night, Mike, but they lost the game.
That was against Blunt and Damien Craig.
That was when now?
Blunt.
Well, it was against Blunt. Well, it was Blunt instead of Viger, but all those teams were real good. And then you also had to play St. Paul, like you mentioned, and some of the top teams in the first round of playoffs. So you just weren't extended. They were very good.
Blunt and Viger were both
Yeah.
awesome at
Yeah.
different times. And St. Paul became really good too. I remember one time Pike County of Brundage played Viger in Brundage. You know, Brundage used to have a terrible time getting people
Oh,
to
yeah,
play them because
yeah,
they
that's
were
right.
so good. They
So
had to
good,
play
yeah.
these 7A teams.
Lee.
And Viger kind of controlled the game, but
Yeah.
the game was still up for grabs late in the fourth quarter with Little Pike County, hung with Viger.
They've done it many times. They were led in the early days by a player who I think might have been the best high school. Now let me make it clear: the best high school player ever to come out of Pike County High School. Tell him who he was, Mike.
Stephen Coleman.
Nope.
Yeah, it is.
Fred
Bump.
Baxter.
What?
Fred Baxter.
Bump.
Cornelius Griffin.
Bump. We're talking about a high school player now.
Nixon.
Bump. Michael.
You don't think it was Stephen Coleman?
Benny
No,
Byhan.
no. Benny Myhan. Give me
Myhan,
Benny
Myhan.
Myhan. Give me
Myhan.
Benny Myhan, and I'll beat every one of them.
Mahan was years later though. He was one of the last.
No, he was there for a while, Mike.
Mahan played when I played.
Stephen
that's what I'm
Coleman
saying, yeah.
was Mr. Football in Alabama.
Yeah, and he was a great player.
And he set records that still stand.
But I'm just saying the
His
best.
son's at Troy
Mahan
Elementary
started as
School.
an 8th grader.
He started as an 8th grader, Rice. He played from an 8th
Man,
through,
yeah.
through the
He was like the
yeah.
refrigerator, but
Yeah.
he was.
And he just stood out, and they couldn't ever find a helmet that would fit him. But boy, I tell you,
I think he owns a
and
concrete
I
company.
think there'd be several people out there that would agree with me. And we're talking about a high school football player. Give me Benny Myhan.
I'll never forget the time I went to a practice
He dominated.
to watch Coach Grant and get a story for whatever newspaper I was working at, and I hadn't really kept up with Brundage much that year. But I went down there, and the first player I saw was Cornelius Griffin. And I said, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah.
I mean, he looked like an NFL player then.
Yeah. But the neck came later, though. The neck came later.
Now, I heard that Brundage has about 70 players out for football. Pike
Oh,
County.
boy.
70
They're going to be
players.
loaded, aren't they?
Brundage has never had 30 players out for football. That's
Now,
amazing.
whether or not that's true, I've heard they got
Yeah.
a big number out.
And buddy, Pike County has never won
They would
with
have
numbers.
22 players,
That's
and
right.
about 14 of them would play.
Yeah, they were all players.
They'd all play both ways.
Yeah, and let me tell you,
They never got tired.
Yeah, and that legacy moves on, and far as you realize this, when a child is born, and it's very similar to this, when a child is born in Brundage, Alabama, and let me tell you this. Now, I'm not saying there's always, but there's a football helmet or a football near that cradle that baby's lying in, because it is such a huge base football town, and if it builds back, to the way it was, boy, what a great football county this is going to be.
You know, I loved watching all those Coach Grant teams. I think Pike County got a reputation for being like a dirty football team, but by some programs, that wasn't.
Never seen it.
That was not true. I watched too many games, and I mean, they would knock your head off and flow around to the ball, but I never saw them get in fights or do anything dirty. They were just hard nosed, tough, mean football players.
Coach,
I'd like to go fishing, Wayne Grant.
Exactly. Yeah, he loves to fish, and he's probably the best carpenter in Pike County. He's a great man, no question about it.
He used to own or rent the Gulf station in downtown Brundage, because my dad was the Gulf distributor and provided him gas. So Coach Grant was once in the gasoline business too.
What his son is a doctor.
Yeah. Well, and
He taught science at Brundage and was from all reports a great teacher.
Well,
all those Grant boys.
He could have been a medical doctor. Let me just say this: Dr. Barris was his was the guy that you remember. Dr. Barris,
mentor, yeah,
was his mentor, and he said many times that he could have been a doctor as quick as he could have been a football coach.
Steve has moved back to Pike County and is married to Marisha Dillard.
That's great.
He's one of my favorite people in a classmate of mine, Dr. Barris's son.
Well, let's just say this.
I mean, you had if you go back all the way back, you had Fred Baxter, Stephen Coleman played at Troy, Baxter played at Auburn, Cornelius played at Alabama, Nick Walker played at Alabama, Chris Nixon played at Vanderbilt. I'm trying to think of just players.
That's impressive.
Quincy Jackson.
Quincy Jackson played at Alabama.
Yeah,
Quincy Jackson played at Alabama. I'm just trying to think of
the tight end that played at Alabama, the big.
Yeah, Nick Walker, I already said him.
God, that is impressive.
Oh, Michael can name them. I tell you.
There was the guy from back in the day that played at Auburn, quarterback. What was his name? Walls.
Yeah,
Randy Walls. Yeah.
Had twin sisters.
He was a quarterback on the team that won by Bama punt. He was a quarterback for Auburn.
He threw passes to my father-in-law, Frankie Fryer.
Frankie Fryer, I can see it right now. And Frankie Fryer goes wide to the right.
That's when Bob
Walls
Booth coached
bark
him, right?
signal, throw the Frankie Fryer, complete the Frankie Fryer, touchdown, Pike County.
Frankie Fryer caught a lot of passes and ran back kicks and. He's like all those Brundage kids. He played them all. He played baseball, football, and basketball.
And let me ask you this. I can remember you faintly. What was your number?
Number 12.
I can remember it right now. Number 12, Bill Rice Jr. enters the ball game for the first time tonight, and there goes the final gun.
That was it.
I remember that very well. You
stayed to the end of all those state championship games, and I think 3 or 4 of those games about the last series. There goes number 12 in there, and there goes the final gun.
All right, Forrest Lee, of course, former Goshen great, and your friendship with Hugh Fountain goes way back. You're going to be given the opportunity, I believe, probably to get back into coaching if you wanted to.
Well, Hugh came 1 year before I did. He was at Charles Sanderson, and then David Helms and Mike Hall, they taught with me and hired me at the middle school. So I came 1 year after Hugh, and that was a little bit of a challenge.
Now I'm thinking about what Michael and the names y'all rolled out that have started for Alabama or Auburn. That's about 7 players.
Yeah.
You look at Troy, the players that came out of Charles Henderson that have started for either Alabama or Auburn.
Very
few.
Very few. I'll say this, when you talk about...
Is Richard McBride still playing? He played about 7 years.
I have not.
I tell you what, he was a good one, buddy. He was a real good one. He played at Auburn. Auburn had all these guys.
Where he had his great career was at SMU.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Had 120 tackles at SMU.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah.
Well, he never started at Auburn. I mean, he played, and he had an injury that was going to be career-ending, and then he finally got a second and third. He sat out of football. He was coaching at Charles Henderson when SMU said, "Yeah, we'll let you. You can play for us," and he left the practice field and went and became a player again.
That kid.
Same thing happened to Gerardo White. He had a neck
injury. That's what it was several of them like
too.
And then Zacchaeus Etheridge had the head injury. He had a terrible head injury, and he came back.
He was a captain on the national championship team, war number 4.
And it's he goes by Zach. Surely he doesn't go by Zacchaeus. He goes by Zach, and he is considered right now, and I've heard it too many times to not think it was true, to be their top recruiter.
Man, if you were a
Auburn's top recruiter,
you were always going to have a job and a well-paying job.
Who was the guy, Mike, that was so good for a long time? He was at Georgia and at Auburn. Who was that great recruiter? What's his name?
Rodney Gardner.
Rodney Gardner. You just think you're exactly right. Rodney Gardner was the best recruiter at Alabama. No, excuse me, at Auburn and at Georgia. I reckon he flip-flopped or whatever, but he was considered, I mean, no questions asked, the best recruiter in the SEC. Isn't that right?
Yeah, if you can get 3 or 4 really primetime players that you recruit, you have earned your salary and then some.
But you didn't answer my question. You're probably going to be given an opportunity to coach football again if you wanted to.
We'll see.
Because you were an outstanding line coach, and I remember your teams.
I think Coach Fountain is meeting with players, the upperclassmen today at 10, and then tonight the younger players. So I think he has 2 meetings scheduled today. But I did talk to Susan a couple of days ago, and they're extremely excited.
Now, did she teach when she was in Troy?
Yes, sir. She was at the elementary school for a long time. Then she transferred
over. And the physical education teacher,
yes, sir. And then she came to Charles Henderson Middle School as a physical education teacher. And then, Hugh got the job at Escambia Academy. And then I think she taught 1 year down there to get her 25th year. And her brother, who's a locklear, has a furniture store, 2 or 3 stores, and she manages a store somewhere, I think maybe Flomaton or Bruton.
That's right.
She's from Flomaton.
Yeah.
She was a Locklear.
And that's where she lives. They live right now is Flomaton.
I think right there at Canoe.
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah.
In that little, I think Flomaton is great.
Yeah. And Flomaton's got a good program now. But, it tickles me. A good football coach, you don't let him by, so he's probably going to get an opportunity. The guy that probably quit too early and would have no telling how big a school he could have coached at was your furniture salesman downtown.
David E. Helms.
David Helms.
David
Helms. He quit too soon.
But you want me to tell you, he is so proud of his 2 boys, Adam and Clay. Clay is with the Secretary of State, the youngest one. But Adam is a defensive coach. He may be the defensive coordinator now at the team that just won the state championship in 5A or 6A.
He coached, I can't remember
Clay
the name.
Chalkville.
Yeah, Clay Chalkville, one of the top
Alabama's got a really
Bassett.
good nose guard, and he was coached by Coach Helms in high school.
Lacey Bassett, he married Lacey.
DJ Dell.
Hey, you talking about a bloodline? Lacey Bassett and
Richards and Pam. Yeah.
Coach.
No,
that's Lacey's mother. Yeah, that's right.
Coach
Pam
Helms
and,
could have been
Richard.
a ultra successful high school coach, like you said. He ended up anywhere. He was fantastic at Goshen.
But he got into administration.
Well, isn't that what a lot of people do, though?
Yeah, you're right.
They segue into, and then he became a principal, and
David's probably 63 or 64, and he still has a good 10 years in you, David.
Yeah, that's right.
He was a great
Instead of,
principal.
we need to get you out of that furniture, is it furniture or furniture store, and you need to get back into coaching.
I thought he would be a great superintendent.
Exactly.
He would have been, he was a great scoop, and you know why he was great? He knew how to handle kids. he was a hands-on handled kids. I mean, kids respected him. Isn't that right?
You're going to do the right thing when you walk through the door.
Exactly right.
He cares about doing
It
right
was
way.
this way or the highway. That's a good way to explain it. Good morning to you.
Who was Coach Helms' most famous and best player? Played with
Michael
Auburn.
Pelton
Yeah, that's
from
right.
Goshen, Alabama.
We forget about him.
War
as
number 10.
The great Pike County players of all time.
Well,
You got to put Michael Pelton up there.
Yeah, he was good. He sure was. Is he still in
He was
coaching?
on the
I don't know what.
undefeated Terry Bowden team.
Yeah.
He went to
Yeah.
Auburn
War
as a
number 50.
linebacker, and then they converted him to a defensive tackle, and he came all SEC.
Terry Bowden might be the most disrespected football coach in America. Look at what he did. He won the first 24 games he's coached in at Auburn. Isn't that right, Mike?
I think so. He never lost. He
I
had
think
one
the
time.
first 20 or 21, and he tied a game.
He's had a game, but first he won 24 out of the first, and then he tied, but it included the tie, I think. But isn't that unreal? And nobody gives him any respect. And he's one heck of a football coach.
He beat Troy last year at La Monroe.
And sure did, no question about
I
it.
think in his first year, Alabama just won the national championship in 1992. Didn't Auburn in 1993 beat Alabama 100 Cherry Bowden?
And Nick, look.
We need to go find over/under win totals going into 2022 like we did last year, Rice, because we kept on talking about La Monroe. They're projected to win 2 games.
Yeah.
You were right about that, buddy. You would have. That would have been an easy money for you.
I'll tell you right now, they'll win more than 2 games just because of who their coach is. Yeah.
Last year. Well, they lost Rich Rodriguez to Jacksonville State.
And they're highlighting Rich Rodriguez on the first football game of the year. It's Jacksonville State, coached by Rich Rodriguez, or Rich Rod, whatever they call him, as the head coach. And Jacksonville gets that exposure again. They got it last year, and they're gonna get it this year.
They're going to play Alabama State, correct?
Yeah. Yep, that's right.
No, wait, I think that's part of a doubleheader, and Alabama State is playing
They're going to play.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Who?
Stephen F. Austin.
Jack State plays Stephen F.
Okay,
Okay.
but it starts the college football season out, and then they're gonna show off their 500-piece marching band, the marching Southerners, so
They still wear boots.
yeah,
White boots.
I don't know exactly what they wear, but they're a tremendous band. They march over 500, and they call the marching Southerners.
When I was a freshman in college, I worked with Tom Enzi in the
Yeah.
Sports Information Office at Troy University.
You learned
Troy
something
State.
from
Robert
there.
Earl Stewart.
Yeah.
And I remember we went up to Jack State to play football, and they beat our eyes out. And I can remember the fourth quarter, the whole stadium was singing, M-I-C.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. They let
M-O-U-S-E, Mickey Mouse. They were the whole
that
stadium
was the
singing.
band. They just hated each other, and still do probably. But it is a great rivalry as far as bands
I wanted
go.
to come back. I want Troy to play Jack State and then play
North
UAB
Alabama.
every
I'll tell you somebody. I'll tell you somebody. Mike. There's one guy that all he does, he just welcomes a game with Jack State. You know who that is, don't you?
Larry Blaney.
Larry Blakeney. Jack State has never come close to beating a Larry Blakeney coach team ever.
Didn't Rudy Abbott recently die?
He died.
Jack State
He was a great
baseball
one.
coach.
He actually.
He was 79.
Yeah, and he won over 1,000 games.
Wow.
He was a great coach. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in just a moment with more of Today in L.A.
Let me show you beautiful flowers.
Hey, Jim Jackson, Bill Jackson Ford here in Troy, Alabama, where not only can you get the best price on a new Ford, but we can also get you exactly what you're looking for. We all know inventories are low right now, but don't settle for something you don't love. Come by Bill Jackson Ford in Troy, Alabama, and let us walk you through the retail order process and get you exactly what you're looking for. So come see us at Bill Jackson Ford in Troy, Alabama, where you too can experience the Jackson satisfaction.
The all-new Troy Regional Women's Diagnostic Center brings all of the latest and advanced 3D mammography and breast ultrasound services to the Troy area in our all-new outpatient facility. Dr. Lauren Thorington, along with our team of certified breast specialists, read your mammograms, which are performed by our registered radiologic technologists, bringing the best in women's healthcare to the Troy area. Troy Regional Women's Diagnostic Center.
I wish you could taste how much better food tastes when cooked on a Green Mountain grill, but I can let you in on the reason that's true. Our pellets contain water, so they create steam while you cook, keeping your food moist. Does a gas or charcoal grill do that? I think not.
Come and see us at Southern Grill and Patio just off the square in Troy.
Hey, Jim Jackson with Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC right here in Troy, Alabama, and we've got some exciting news for you. After a 2-year suspension, GM has now reintroduced the sold order process on the redesigned GMC Sierra 1500 and Chevrolet Silverado 1500. So come in and order yours today and not have to wait 6 months to get exactly what you want. So come see us at Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Troy, where you too can experience the Jackson satisfaction.
But I want to remind you that our show is brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass. And Jason is getting more and more trucks and cars and trucks into the lot every day. And, of course, we got a huge selection of new and used cars and trucks to choose from Premier. And, of course, remember, nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody. Back to our show with Bill Rice, Forrest Lee, and Mike Amos.
I got a trivia question. What high school did Jason Gregory attend?
Let's see, the private school there in Columbus, Georgia. I can't. It's a different name. What is it?
Starts with a P.
No.
I don't know much about
Pacelli.
Pacelli. See now, why would you want to ask a 75-year-old man what a school? Pacelli. And it's one of the top schools in Columbus, Georgia. A good friend of mine, he went to Columbus, Georgia, and he played for former Alabama great, and both his sons kicked for Alabama.
There's a Columbus College. What's the college in Columbus?
Columbus College, but they just play basketball and baseball. They don't play football.
That's where
Isn't that where Rod
Doug
McCarter went?
That's where
yeah, he did.
Doug, the guy who was at Charles Henson, now he's at
Shelby Tuck played there too, basketball.
Doug Branson coached there, didn't he?
Yeah, he might have.
Shelby Tuck played basketball at Columbus College.
I didn't know that.
Shelby Jack.
Yeah.
Still haven't heard anything about the great basketball player from Pike County that went to Shelton State in junior college.
Yeah, he averaged about 15 a game this year too.
Well, the portal, Troy has gone into the portal, and they've gotten a player out of the portal named Darius McNeil, and of course he played at Texas San Antonio, and then they got another one.
They got a guy at Texas San Antonio and a guy that played at Georgia State.
Yeah, the guy named Nelson Phillips played at Georgia State, transferred, like you said, from Georgia State. And then they just got a guy that they're crazy about, Michael, is Amar Muhammad of Lubbock Christian in Texas.
He's a Division II transfer.
All right. And then Andrew Young is a big guard, 6'7" guard, and he played at Pebblebrook High School in Atlanta, a real strong program there. And they just recently signed 2 more, Michael. One of them is named Randy Orvalli. He's a defensive, he's 6'7", and they say he's a shot blocker galore. And
wow.
And then they've just got also a young man named Jackson Fields, 6'8", is another big shot blocker, and considered one of the top shot blockers they've ever recruited at Troy.
Yeah, he's 6'8", 215. I was watching some highlight films on that guy, and he can just jump out of the gym. But he was also a great football player.
Yeah, I saw that.
Tight end, and was recruited by 3 or 4 Division I football programs. So I wonder if he'd try to play both at Troy.
I don't know. They might have said, can he play both? And, it's a good way to sign a kid. A lot of people wouldn't let him be.
Well, I'll make this point.
Play two
Troy
sports.
has never had a basketball player that made it to the NBA.
No, you're right.
But they've had plenty of college football players that made it to the NFL.
Yeah. Mike, who would have been the closest that you can think of that could have played in the National Basketball Association?
I mean, at the time, it
Troy.
was probably maybe Daryl Thomas. Daryl Thomas.
Yeah, he was great.
25 a game. He's about 6'4".
And he did play in Europe. He played in Europe for
Lemaine
quite
Wilson
a
from
while.
Highland Home played in Europe for a long time.
Yeah, Lemaine's wife came on the show one time with Dad and showed a bunch of videos of Lemaine. I guess the guy was a guard. Coach Maestri talked about it. He was the last guy cut by the Trailblazers. I can't think of his name.
McCord?
Last time Maestri was on, he talked about that.
Terry McCord?
McCord was a great one, though. It's amazing.
This guy was a Division I player. Played guard for Troy.
Nobody can tell me that young man Terry McCord couldn't play in the NBA. He was a great college player.
I just love that team that he was on.
Yeah.
That scored so many points, and he was a great character. And it was all those guys. And Andy Davis was on that team.
Oh, yeah.
And I've heard that he is the CEO of a major hospital in Boston.
Oh yeah, exactly. He's a very successful businessman, and
I mean, baseball players that made it to the pros. I guess you started with Ray Stevens, Danny Cox, Mike Perez, pitched in the pros from Troy.
our great center that
Chase Whitley.
yeah.
Pitched in the pros. I'm trying to think of some other guys.
Didn't you have a first baseman?
Michael Rivera, the great catcher, caught in the pros.
Oh yeah. How about our great home run hitter, Mike? You remember the great Jorge Soto?
I don't think Soto ever made the pros.
I don't know. He hit 30 home runs in
Well, he
at
probably
Troy.
made it to the minor leagues. He didn't make it to the show.
He was in AAA, I know. And great player.
I used to remember the Birmingham News would have
Players in
Alabamians in the minors every Sunday. And if you went to a high school in Alabama or played for a college team in Alabama, they would have your minor league stats. And I would look at it, and it seemed to me there were always more Troy baseball players that were in the minors than Alabama and Auburn baseball.
I was on a committee that hired after Chase, our outstanding coach.
Coach Mayotte.
No, not Mayotte, but Pierce. That hired Pierce.
Robert Pierce.
And then this guy was named was Johnson. He was a head coach at what's the name of that great junior college there in Chipola. Let me just say this. On that article every Sunday in the Panama City paper says, where are they now? It would say Chipola.
Yeah.
I mean, Chipola Junior College produces more pro and major league players than
People don't
all
realize
the
how
rest.
good the junior college baseball is.
That program is really good.
Troy would play games in the fall season against junior colleges and would lose sometimes.
Oh yeah.
These were great teams.
Hey, listen, let me tell you what a baseball game would do. Give me a good pitcher, and anybody has got a chance to win. You know what I mean? Because there's some lights out pitchers out there that nobody can touch. One of them is a young man that just signed with Auburn from Troy.
Well, you tell me, if Drew Nelson pitched against any high school team in Alabama, the 7A state champions, don't you think Pike LeBlanc would be favorite or to win the game?
Let me tell you this. Drew Nelson would shut down any college team on a given day. On a given day, he just got the great pitch. He's got the great change-up pitch, and he throws the ball 94 miles an hour. Drew Nelson don't let anybody tell you that he couldn't play in the college right now.
Troy alumni that played in Major League Baseball, they say there was a guy named Tom Drake that played from 1931 to 1935. Do you remember him?
No. I'll tell you one guy that a lot of people know, and is Ned Farmer from Goshen. And Jimmy Norman played.
He played Major League Baseball there. We're talking about
I think Farmer played AAA baseball. He was really good.
What about this guy? You ever heard of him? His name is Danny Breeden.
Yeah.
From 61 to 63.
He played in the major leagues. He was a catcher. Danny Breeden played for Chase, or was signed by Chase Riddle, but he played college ball at Troy. Danny Breeden. He was from Mobile.
Cox,
huh?
Danny Cox, Mike Perez, Ray Stevens, Michael Rivera. Then this guy was a really good defensive player, a catcher, and then hit some home runs for Mayotte. Tom Gregorio, I forgot he was for us.
Yeah.
Then of course we didn't mention this guy. He had a good career, and he grew up right down the road in Dothan. Clint Robinson.
Yeah, long career. Yeah, he made it the majors. Yeah.
And then also Chase Whitley. We mentioned him, the great the guy.
Now he pitched not long ago for the Yankees in relief. You remember that? That was just a couple of years ago.
I would say
that's only 9 guys.
Danny Cox would probably had the best career. He was almost a star. He was the number 2 starter for the St. Louis Cardinals.
I know he won 18 games a couple of times, but I don't believe he won 20 games.
I remember he pitched in World Series.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was a great pitcher. He was what like a Brian Meadows. He was 6'5" and weighed about 220, 225. Those are the major league type pitchers right there.
Wesley Wright, Goshen.
Wesley Wright went to the major leagues and was successful. I know he was with the Dodgers one time in San Diego.
Houston.
He pitched 7 years in the major league.
Give us a rundown on him. We don't talk enough about Wesley Wright.
He's a scout or something. He does, or in the front office with somebody.
That's what Brian Meadows told me, that he works in the front office for some major league team.
And of course,
got a promising career in the business side of baseball.
Yeah.
There's a young left-hander at Pike Liberal Arts that I'm impressed with. Will.
Really?
Will,
I like the way he throws, and he's a young up-and-coming pitcher.
He has got the frame for it. I told Mike yesterday that I saw Will and Bobby at Rook's Sunday for lunch.
Rook's?
And
Hooks.
Rook's was a pizza place.
Hooks, yeah.
Change the letter. Hooks, saw him at Hooks. And Will is taller than me now, and I'm 6'2". And might be as tall as his daddy, who's 6'3.5". And he's only a sophomore.
Yeah.
So
let me
now
tell
I'm
you,
gonna tell you, height runs in families. His mother is tall.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
his granddaddy was tall.
My dad was 6'5", so I think Will is gonna end up 6'4", 6'5".
And he needs
that ought to help you get some leverage when you're throwing that old rock.
He needs to be on the basketball court
and football field.
He needs to be on the basketball court.
I said that poor little boy, there ain't no way that he's going to not have to play
now he's
both
skinny
of
as
them.
heck. He's
Play basketball and football.
He needs to eat a lot of milkshakes.
Well, let's see. He was in the 10th grade this year, and he'll be in 11th grade next year. Is that right? 11th grade or
He's playing American Legion ball for
15.
Ross
probably, and then this coach for Abbeville Christian. You remember the guy that sat in front of us? I talked to you so long.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was real nice, and he was one of the coaches for Abbeville Christian, which won the state championship. And he told me then, he said, "Yeah, I'm going to work with the Hicksons in American Legion this summer." And he's coaching Will right now.
I would love to be a 14-year-old kid now.
And hear this, if you're just sitting around not with nothing to do, 5 o'clock this Friday afternoon, Post
70.
Post 70's got a baseball game here at Troy. They're going to play the game at the private school field.
Pike Liberal
Arts. At Pike Liberal Arts.
That would be the Butch Austin field.
Yes, sir.
What about Butch Austin?
What a career and what a coach he was. And,
I wasn't good enough to play high school baseball, but I was around the baseball players and Coach Austin and Coach Hogan, and Coach Austin's just a fascinating character. He's just so soft-spoken and hardly says anything, but when he talks, you listen.
He's the only guy I know from Pike County that was paid to play softball for teams. you know, that they actually paid him to play on their team.
I've heard he's a great softball.
You know, my high school baseball coach my freshman and sophomore year was Butch Bracken.
Oh yeah, he was
I
a
think he just
former
had a
Troy
birthday. And,
player. You know who coached Butch Bracken? Was Bo Gaylord.
Yeah.
You
Let me tell
remember
you
Bo
a quick,
Gaylord coached Troy at Troy University?
yeah, I started, you know, in Goshen, I started as a ninth grader in left field, but we had a pickup game. You know, we played an inter-squad game, and Coach Bracken had to play for the other team.
Yeah.
And so I was on first, and somebody hit a ball to right field, so I rounded second and was sliding into third, and the ball, he caught the ball, and as I slid, I kind of just slid it, and I kicked the ball out of his glove, and it rolled off.
Yeah.
He looked at me, he said, he looked me dead in the eye, he said, Forrest, that was a good move.
Run, Forrest,
I
run.
just did it naturally.
Run,
Because
Forrest,
there was
run.
love, I just kind of kicked it.
We'll be back right after this.
What happened to your baseball career?
Well, I played 4 years ago.
Hey, Jim Jackson, Bill Jackson Ford here in Troy, Alabama, where not only can you get the best price on a new Ford, but we can also get you exactly what you're looking for. We all know inventories are low right now, but don't settle for something you don't love. Come by Bill Jackson Ford in Troy, Alabama, and let us walk you through the retail order process and get you exactly what you're looking for. So come see us at Bill Jackson Ford in Troy, Alabama, where you too can experience the Jackson satisfaction.
You guys are here early.
The text said you were bringing McDonald's.
Should we get right into it?
Nick, there's hot food present.
Mix and match chicken McGriddles or a savory sausage biscuit. Choose any two for $3. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Piggly Wiggly's local butchers are on site at both stores and will help you select the best cuts of meat and trim them to your liking. Our USDA choice beef is the most consistently tender, juicy, and flavorful beef you can buy, all at cost plus 10%.
What's the latest buzz? It's Ford's tough lineup of trucks. Get great offers on the trucks people are talking about. Like Ford F-150, a true workhorse with the capability to haul or tow more than ever. And the powerful Ford Ranger, where hustle meets muscle. Don't wait. Find out what all the buzz is about at your local Ford dealer. Get the latest offers plus $1,000 retail custom order bonus cash when you build and order your 2022 Ford F-150 today.
He was the store.
Back to our show, brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass in Troy, where they bringing in more and more cars and trucks each day. And of course, remember, nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody. And back here, we got Rice here, and we got Forrest Lee here. Mike Amos on the phone. Mike Amos, give us a rundown of that young man we were talking about.
Wesley Wright.
Wesley Wright.
Yeah, we were talking about Wesley Wright.
Well, let's say he's from Raymer, but he went to school at Goshen High School.
That's right.
Yeah, Wright was born in Montgomery, Alabama, like most kids were. I was born in Montgomery, Alabama. Grew up in Grady, Alabama.
Grady.
That's right.
High school, was selected by Los Angeles Dodgers in the 7th round of the 2003 Major League Baseball draft. He turned down a scholarship offer to the University of South Alabama. Wright's career started with the Houston Astros in 2008. He pitched in relief for them until 2013. Then he got traded to the Tampa Bay Rays, where he pitched in 2013. Signed with the Chicago Cubs in 2014. The Baltimore Orioles in 2015, and his last stop in Major League Baseball was the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim in 2015. So he had a 7 or 8 year career.
Great career. Is that enough to get your
pension? I bet. Yeah.
Get your pension?
I bet it is.
He's got a brother at Brundage, Alabama, who was the principal.
Oh, yeah.
But now he's the city manager, I believe, of the city of Brundage.
And
Willie Wright, who also went by trade.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I remember about Wesley. It was a big deal when Troy got to host a Dixie Boys World Series, probably 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Probably more than that.
And Troy rolled out the red carpet and did a fantastic. Pat Dye spoke at the banquet.
And something I remember was
had fireworks.
But you know the group from downtown.
The Shebang Clarkers.
They
did entertainment at the big welcoming banquet, and they blew away. These were all cute little girls that were the same age as the boys, and the boys were just fell in love with all the.
Yeah.
Put me in, coach. You
I remember
that
Pat
song?
Dye was blown away by those.
And he
flyers.
and he got up there. He said, "Look, you don't want to hear me." And he told the group to come on back on the stage. And then afterwards, he spoke. He really
Well, it
got
was great attendance. And,
Yeah.
well, Troy, since you host the tournament, this is the best 12 teams in the South that come.
Yeah.
But the host team gets to have a team. Now, I've watched all these. The host team is usually 2 and out. You know, they just. Well, darn it, this Troy host team almost wins the tournament. I think they tied for second.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, largely, was they had a pitcher named Wesley Wright. We should have known.
Yeah.
That we were watching a future Major League Baseball player.
Yeah.
And Wesley.
Part of my theory of that is when you know you've got some stud buckets that can play good, you might. That's probably when you'll bid on a tournament because you got a shot.
You know, I've seen 2 teams from Troy make it before. You know, they've actually had 2 teams. One that won the right to go to the championships, and then there was another.
It's Wesley's team. I think they tied for second. You know, which they could have won it. I think they lost a heartbreaker to the team that did win it all.
But Corley, you were a good pitcher.
But before him, Wesley, I remember him as a little kid because he was going to games of his big brother Trey.
Yeah.
And boy, I covered that team closely. That was back then they had a 13 and 14-year-old Dixie Boys World Series. Troy was the best tournament team they have ever had. Just mowed through everybody in the district and the state. Got up to Rock Hill, South Carolina, and won that as well.
We did that game. That was the first game we've ever.
Andy Murphy and I covered it, and Troy Cable sent up a crew to do it.
You know what? Wiley Sanders flew us up there in one of his jets, and we did every game up there and really had a good time.
Well, Troy wins its first ever World Series in impressive fashion. Now, I remember Trey was the shortstop on that team, and he could pitch. You know, if they needed him, they could bring him in. He ended up pitching a lot in a long tournament, but he wasn't like their number 1, 2, or 3 starter. Well, he ends up being a great pitcher, went to Jeff Davis in high school, and then he comes back and plays at Troy University. But he's not as an infielder, but as a pitcher.
Was that when Clifton Brady played?
Wesley Wright's a pro scout with the Minnesota Twins. That's his current position.
It's a pro scout.
Like Trey Pearl was.
With the Twins. And I'm sure he's looked at a lot of these guys around the area. And, of course, we're coming to you from Troy, Alabama.
It's crazy. He spent 8 years in the big leagues, and then he's been in baseball ever since.
Oh, boy,
retirement. So he's been in baseball now for 15 years as a coach. I mean, as a player and a scout.
And that's what they call respect. You know, not only was he a great player, a great coach, and then a great scout. Well, Chase Riddle was a scout for 25 years.
He's from a family that loves the game of baseball, and they're baseball junkies and always have been. So he's doing what he needs to be doing.
I think they're kin to the Yankees.
Clint Robinson's the scout dad for Miami Marlins.
Oh, is he? Okay. Of course, we've got a lot to do. This week we've had two big announcements. One of them, of course, Hugh Fountain is the new head football coach at Pike. But the other announcement was on Troy University and Ole Miss have gotten a TV date now, 3:00 on SEC Network. They'll play at 3:00 that Saturday. What is the date on that?
Hydrate.
September 3rd.
September the 3rd, Troy and Ole Miss on SEC Network.
SEC Network reaches a lot of households, so it's almost like they're on the
Alabama's got a lot tougher game than people realize. Utah State won 12 games and won their conference last year. They're not horrible. You
know, Mike, who's been fighting for it all week long is Robbie from Greenville. Robbie from Greenville told the radio Longshore that Alabama better be careful. They could get whipped.
Listen to Robbie.
I don't know about getting whipped, but I mean, they can definitely score some points.
You know, our former athletic director at Troy is the athletic director at Utah State. Yeah.
All right, well,
Of course, Mike Amos.
John Hartwell played at UMS Wright with Mark Guthrie. They were a basketball teammates growing up. Hartwell was about 6'7".
Yeah,
Really? The coach, the football coach at Utah State played basketball with Mark Guthrie?
he's athletic director.
Athletic director.
Yeah. And well, of course, you know, I ran down that list of basketball signings. I think Coach Cross really is proud of that signing group.
I enjoyed watching Coach Cross's team this past season, and he's got some good, hard. They couldn't shoot consistently, but they played defense every night.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
They won a lot of games. They won 20 games. I'm real excited about next year in basketball.
Just think what Troy's got. In Enterprise, we're sorry you don't have this. Andalusia, we're sorry you don't have this. Dothan, we're sorry you don't have this.
Brantley,
it's major college athletics.
But this is their major college athletics. They're close enough to come on over.
No, but I'll just say this.
We're all one in the wire draft.
Yeah, I know. Well, you're right. We're all one. But Troy, Alabama, you can watch Division I college football. You can watch Division I college basketball in your conference of one of the nicest facilities in the country. They're right now renovating Riddle Pace Field and going to make it one of the great places or great venues in college baseball. You got that, and all you got to do
let's think about that.
All you got to do is mash the button, and you're at the stadium.
I defy anybody to find a prettier setting and stadium for a college Troy size than Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, and the pageantry.
Trojan Arena is the best 5,000 seat arena that I've seen or heard of. And Riddle Pace, I know that this is going to be super impressive when they finish.
Chairback seats.
So they're going to have football, basketball, baseball with facilities that are unparalleled for their, mid-major programs.
Indoor football facility should be at a parking deck at the top of your list.
Yeah. They need
indoor. There's no indoor practice facility.
Now to let you know.
Need to get some money from DeMarcus Ware and O.C. Manura, Lawrence Hines. It's like I think the CEO of Wheels Up, the planes that all these people fly.
You probably
all over the country.
There's
got to be some money somewhere that some of these guys want to have something.
Well, I'm sure they're going to get there. They'll end up doing that. No question about it.
Enterprise High School, though, I will say it's the nicest hospital. One of the nicest hospitals I've ever been to. Their football stadium is its nicest in Division II colleges.
Oh, it's they have a real
I
good
didn't
program.
see it. I haven't seen it.
I didn't. And their high school band program is the best in the country. They have a fabulous band program at Enterprise High School.
We got to get the Blue Machine back to where it used to be.
But I was
their theater program is insane at Enterprise High School too.
Yeah, well, they got a great theater program. But Troy University is getting one of the top dance programs. We're talking about ballerina dance.
Yeah, modern dance.
And they're building that program every day. And
I took modern dance.
You did.
And I was the second guy.
Yeah.
First guy was Virgil C.
Okay. I remember
this is what Dr. Pat Allison told me. You're the second person that has taken modern dance. That's a guy. Virgil C. was the first. I was the second.
Did you wear leotard?
No, I didn't have to do that.
Virgil
And
C.
then
was,
the first.
he was one of the Smurfs, wasn't he?
He was one of the Smurfs.
All he did, let me tell you what he did. He ran.
I was there.
Let me tell you what he did. He ran 3 punts back for touchdowns in a game. In one game.
And
Coach Bradshaw was the coach.
Yeah.
I took aerobic dance for the first time. Me and about 90 girls on Sartain floor.
Virgil say Troy has had an inordinate number of fantastic kick returners.
Yeah, oh man.
Kelvin, what's his name?
Leotis McKelvin.
That guy was the best I ever saw.
Well,
I don't know how many touchdowns he had on punts and kick returns, but he probably had just as many that were called back by clipping penalties.
How about a Frederick?
He could have had a lot more.
Frederick Sadler. Sadler, Coach Sadler.
Yeah, he was pretty
Frank
good.
Sadler.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, Frank Sadler was a good kick returner.
And then they lost one of their best kickers.
The little beaver.
The guy that was just as good as McKelvin transferred to Houston and is now in the NFL. The kid from Enterprise.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking about for the ran back kick for the Oilers, Mike, and the Willie Tullis.
I saw Carl Hollis the other day, and we were talking about his old basketball days at Troy. He needs to be in the Hall of Fame at Troy University. We're going to need to make that happen. But he's from Headland, and I said, well, you ever see Willie Tullis? Willie Tullis was a couple years after him. He said, yeah.
Well,
Willie Tullis has moved back to Headland.
Yeah, it's just like I told y'all when Van Hoos said that I'll take the orphan boy any day from Troy. I'll take the orphan boy from Troy any day of the week. When he's asked about who was the greatest running back in Alabama history. Well, the greatest kick return in Troy history, nobody has mentioned. I'll give you three guesses, Mike, and he's there. He's in the Hall. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's the greatest kick return in all of history of Troy.
Danny Grant?
No.
He can't be better than McKelvin.
Mike, he's in the Hall of Fame already. Oh yeah, he's better than McKelvin. Do y'all know who I'm talking about?
Kick returner?
Yeah, kick returner and wide receiver. Kick returner and wide receiver.
Not Virgil Say, not
You
McKelvin.
talking about Titus Dixon?
No. Titus Dixon was a good one, though.
Oh, Perry Griggs?
Perry Griggs. Oh, God.
Okay.
47.
Let me tell you this. Perry Griggs, none was better than Perry Griggs from, let's see, where was Perry from?
They wear number 47?
Yeah, well, no, 47.
If I was, I might give Bobby the story idea right one day. It'd be a great story. It's just the great kick returners and punt returners that have come out of Troy University. It's incredible.
They.
That's a weapon. I still say that if Marcus Jones hadn't transferred, he would have won several games for Troy just by running back kicks.
And another thing, not only would he have did all this, he would have created havoc among the coaching staffs because they had to cover their kicks a lot more than usual. They had to make sure that they were going to be able to cover the kicks.
But McKelvin, he had that knack. All the kick returners have it. Yeah. They get north and south so dang fast. Yeah. They don't. They make that one move and they are off.
Well, and let me just say this: in the open field, I've never seen it. Perry Griggs was just unreal. And how you turn around after he made the play, you say, "How did he do that? How did he do that? How did he get out of that jam?" Be 3 or 4 guys trying to make the tackle on him.
Alabama's had some good ones too. Prothrow was going to be a great one, but still the best was David Palmer.
That's why I was saying the deuce is loose. That was a great kick returner.
I don't know. Javier Arenas is a pretty good returner too for Saban.
And I'll tell you another one too, Mike, that used to coach at South Alabama. He was a heck of a kick returner. Joey Jones. Boy, he was a great one. Number 4. One is number 4.
But he wasn't like a threat to go break it.
Yeah, hey, listen. Did you know this? Listen to this. At one time, Joey Jones had the world record in the 60-yard dash. That's how fast he was. He at one time, it didn't last long, but he actually broke the world record in the 60-yard dash.
You don't think there are any white people that have set the world record in the 60-yard dash?
Well, let's don't get into that.
Virgil Levon Say, that played at Troy State from Moultrie, Georgia. He was 5'8", 175 pounds. He played for the Washington Redskins, Atlanta Falcons. Drafted in the 10th round in 1980 NFL draft. He was a member of the Fun Bunch when they won the World Championship with the Redskins. He has got a sports business up in it looks like Virginia. Virgil Say Sports and Activities. He's also assistant football coach at George Mason University.
Really? Golly.
He only played 1980 to 1984, but
boy,
he's on Wikipedia.
Boy, if somebody really wanted to write an article, just those kind of receivers.
Perry Griggs, I forgot about Perry Griggs. He was right before I moved to Troy, but I've heard a lot about him.
And he was a great one, no question about it. Troy's had a lot of them like that, and of course it's a lot of fun.
Willie Tullis did famously run back a kickoff on Monday Night Football for the Houston Oilers.
Well,
but he was a defensive back in the pros, but he was a quarterback at Troy.
Well, and I'll tell you this.
He didn't run back kicks at Troy.
Yeah, he was a kick returner and a defensive back.
I'll tell you my Willie Tullis story. I would go to a lot of practices because my best friend was Charles Bradshaw, and his daddy was the coach. Well, I was just in awe of Willie Tullis. He was number 7. But I would watch him in practice. Of course, you couldn't. They wouldn't let you tackle the quarterback.
Yeah.
But they would run scrimmages, and you were supposed to touch him, and then he would be down.
Yeah.
And I would just watch many plays where they couldn't touch him. I mean, they couldn't get any hands on Willie Tullis when he ran the ball.
You know, we talked about Troy quarterbacks, you know, over the days, and you know, everybody talks about the great Sam Bird, and his records just were just outstanding. But you know who the most prolific quarterback of all time, Mike, was? It's right on the end of your tongue.
Eddie Hobaugh?
No.
Well, it's the kid from Kentucky
that all time. You want Kelvin Simmons?
Michael, we're talking about prolific with everything he did. His stats were unreal.
Was that kid that started for 4 years in Kentucky? No.
Yes.
Corey Robinson.
Yes, sir. Corey Robinson. He tell us how many yards he threw for. Nobody's even close. Now Sam Bird played 3 years, but Robinson threw.
Robinson was gray-shirted, red-shirted, and then played 4 years as a starter.
Yeah, he was at Troy for 6 years, but played only 4 years, and he threw for over 13,000 yards. That'll tell you a little bit about him. Nobody else was even close.
Troy has had some great quarterbacks, no doubt about it.
And you know, he's the one that came here from Paducah, Kentucky.
Maybe this kid from California is the next in line of the great quarterbacks.
And everybody said, "What are y'all talking about? Y'all don't know what you're talking about." Because he came out of high school to Troy. He threw 99 touchdown passes in his senior year of high school football. Can you believe that?
No.
Well, he did. He passed for 90.
I'm dividing 14 games into 99, and I'm trying to get that would be 6 touchdowns a game.
He threw for 99 touchdowns in one season. Mike, can you justify that for me?
I'm on Wikipedia looking at it. I know against UAB that night, he had like the best passing game maybe a quarterback's ever had. He was 30 for 32.
30 for 32.
Troy's 34 and 31 overtime win over UAB.
Yeah. And
broke Steve Sarkisian's record for highest completion percentage with a minimum of 30 attempts in a game.
Yeah, but I want to know.
Steve Sarkisian played at BYU.
Yeah.
So he holds the NCAA record still to this day.
For the most for highest percentage completion in a game, he was 30 for 32.
Yeah. I'm sure that probably has been broken since, but
2010 he threw for 3,726 yards. 2011 he threw for 3,411 yards. 2012 he threw for 3,121 yards. 2013 he threw for 3,219 yards. He threw for 13,477.
That will never be broken. I just don't feel like that will be broken. But you know what? One of my favorite players.
And 81 touchdown passes.
Yeah, 81 touchdown. But did it mention coming out of high school how many touchdowns he threw?
I'll have to try to find it.
Do you think you can?
I'm going to say 99 touchdowns in one season.
All right, listen, hear this.
Robinson attended Lone Oak High School in Paducah, Kentucky. As a senior at Lone Oak, Robinson set the national high school record with 91 touchdowns.
And excuse me, I was a few off. He threw 91 touchdowns
in one season.
He was selected Mr. Football in Kentucky.
Yeah, And he was a great guy. Michael and I knew him real well. He was a real good guy.
We talked about Jeremy Rowell was good. Willie Tullis was good. Kelvin Simmons was as good as anybody I've ever seen.
Now let me tell you Now let me tell you this. Who the most prolific?
He wasn't bad as a passer, though.
I'll tell you right now, the most prolific passer in one season was the guy that came after Robinson, Mike. You know who it is?
Levi Brown. Brown?
Levi Brown threw for over 4,000 yards in a season at Troy, which is a record.
You know, I remember him. When he was there,
Well,
y'all will know the names, but he was in a three-way competition for the starting job, and he didn't win it. And somebody, I can't remember who won it, but the guys in front of him got hurt.
Jamie Hampton won it.
Yeah.
And I remember going to a game and watching all the quarterbacks throw, and I said, my gosh.
Well, they were good.
They could all throw it, but I really zeroed in on this Levi Brown guy who wasn't even starting, but eventually he did start and was his.
I'm gonna mention a couple other things. Take a look at all those records. But you know what? Sim Bird, his senior year, he played in 2 playoff games. He threw for 4,008 yards and 41 touchdowns in one season.
Back when people weren't even throwing.
And of course, they
were so ahead of the game.
But and then probably the best football player to ever play quarterback at Troy. Now Jerry Morale was great. Yeah, he was great, but was a young guy from Mobile, Mike.
Kelvin Simmons. Yeah.
Kelvin Simmons. He might have been the best overall athlete ever played. You're right. He deserves to be in there.
I don't even think Corey Robinson's in the Hall of Fame yet.
Yeah, no, he's not in it yet.
I talk about I like watching quarterbacks spin the ball, and you can, really you can tell in warm-ups who's really got that arm. I'll tell you one story that kind of illustrates this. I think Coach Stalin's first game or one of his first games, Alabama plays Southern Miss, which you think you're going to beat Southern Miss. And I hadn't kept up with Southern Miss, but I remember the week of the game, they always have stories about the upcoming opponent. So I read one, and it said, yes, Southern Miss has a good quarterback who had been in a car accident, and he was recovering, but they thought he was going to be able to play.
Favre,
who was been on the Tucker Carlson show the last couple of days. And so I'm there. I'm at the game. It's hot. It's one of those 100-degree games, and I look down there and watch this Southern Miss quarterback in warm-ups.
Yeah.
And I go, oh my gosh, I've never seen anybody that can throw a ball. And then he lit Alabama up for about 300 yards.
Oh yeah.
Beat Alabama.
And then the next year they had a big tall guy that played. They beat Alabama too. Yeah.
That was that good running quarterback, that dual threat.
Yeah. Stallings started his career 0-3 at Alabama.
Yeah.
Still made it to a bowl game.
Yeah.
That were some tough games. I can remember every one of those games. Favre, I think, beat them. Florida barely beat Alabama when Alabama had a good wide receiver, Sanderson, that got hurt his knee. And then I think Saran Stacy blew out his knee. And then they lost to somebody else. And all 3 of those games they could have won, but they lost all 3 of them.
Well,
but then they won the biggest game of the year. They beat Tennessee, who was undefeated in Knoxville that year. The great Dole made a long field goal, and Alabama won.
Well,
you remember Phil Dole?
Yes, sir. The field goal kicker out of Lanier.
That shows you. I think that team finished 7-5 or something like that. But some of these teams that have records like that were deceptively good. They could like. I told when my senior year in high school, I didn't play. I was hurt, but we finished 5-5. But there was only one team that really beat us, and that was Stanhope beat us 28-7. I remember it.
Yeah.
And but we could have won every one of those games. Fluke plays beat us, and then we had some bad injuries. But the last 2 games, we drilled Brundage by about 35 points. Then we play Auburn High School, and we just blow them out of the stadium. The last 2 games. And so I'm thinking, at the end of the year, that team might have been as good as anybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you're enjoying our show and that you enjoy listening in or watching our show every weekday morning from 7 o'clock to 8:30. Forrest Lee, tell us some more about what's going on. What does your future look like?
Well, I've got 2 gardens to attend to, one in my backyard and one at Pike Liberal Arts. We have 17 raised bed gardens.
All right. Have you got any tomatoes?
They're coming. But Alyssa Jordan, who teaches chemistry and some other things at Pike Liberal Arts, She texted me and said that she watered the garden yesterday. She said, but we've got to do something about the rabbits.
Well,
so our garden is kind of protected by 2 buildings, but the rabbits have found our garden, so I'm going to have to put up some kind of barricade to keep rabbits out.
Let me ask you a couple of things. I went in the weight room out at Pike Liberal Arts School just yesterday. First time I've been in. Very nice weight room. And but also they were tearing down the baseball facility, or at least is that right? It looked, because all of the fencing was down on the parking lot side. But
well, I didn't see that part.
Now, the American Legion is going to have to play most of their games from there, that ballpark.
I'm not sure about all that. I didn't go there yesterday.
They can't play at Troy University?
No, Mike, they're tearing it up.
That's right. They're doing that, yeah.
Now, usually, the American Legion teams usually play at Riddle Pace Field.
Yeah, that's right. That's where they.
This is nice.
I was on the beach the other day, and I ran into a legendary football coach. I was hanging out with Josh Parrish, and he said, "Well, I want you to meet my dad." So I met Harry Wayne Parrish.
Oh, I know Harry Wayne. Yes, sir. Great player.
He said that he's like, yeah. He said your dad used to do the show with Travis.
Yeah, Bud Casey.
He told him many a story about Travis Bud Casey.
Yeah.
He said that Travis Bud Casey was his hero. He told all kinds of stories.
I tell you what, I miss him more every day. He was a hero. People that knew Bud Casey, he was a trip, if you want to say a trip.
Hello, Coacher. That's what.
Yeah, that's right. He called you Coacher and whatever.
He had a great personality.
We really did. And of course, he was a very good friend of your dad too.
My dad was a freshman roommate. And back then they called him Travis. I guess he later went by his middle name, Bud.
A lot of people
didn't even way back then call him Travis.
A lot of people say that Bud Casey was one of the best high school players ever saw. He weighed 255 pounds in high school. That was considered a giant, 6'5", 6'4", 255. But when he got to Alabama, the first thing Bear Bryant does put him on a weight program to lose weight. So he wanted him down to 219, 220. What he wanted playing at. But he was a great player, they said, at 255. You know.
Well, here's what Dad said about him. He stayed at Alabama about 2 years, I think, and he transferred. But Dad says that he was an amazing offensive lineman. But the thing, he didn't play much at Alabama then, because Coach Bryant wanted you had to play both ways.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I don't think he was quick enough for Coach Bryant to play defense too, but yeah, Dad said he was awesome as a offensive
no
lineman.
question. It went on to be
I wish there was a way you could go back and show those old Auburn videos when Di was there and Bud would be coaching in practice, and Bud would have blood on the top of his forehead.
Yeah, blood on the saddle,
from butting the players with his head.
Yeah.
You know, and he would tell stories about, coaching Bo Jackson, Lionel James, and all those great players.
And
Bo Jackson I've heard Bo Jackson tell Bud Casey stories.
Oh, a lot of them. Blood on the saddle. That's the first thing Bo Jackson would say about Bud Casey, because, that's what he said. When they got him out, they said, "All right, guys, put blood on the saddle."
Well, I think when you had Bud Casey, who was around Coach Bryant for 2 years, and then Pat Dye, who was around him for about 10 as an assistant coach.
Maybe even more.
Those were some old school, hard knock football coaches.
Yeah.
Going back to some college football, Goshen had James Jones that played at Troy University, and Randy Wilkes.
Yeah.
He's
played at Troy.
He's superintendent of education in Phoenix City.
Right, and he and his wife Kathy recently lost a son, Ryan.
Yeah.
So our thoughts with him.
And I want to mention somebody else that's a real good football player, and I played with him at Troy, was Joe Sanders. And of course Joe's a stockbroker, but he's suffering from the same thing I am, Parkinson's disease, and
Steve was good too.
Real good.
Who was that great offensive lineman from Goshen that played at Troy? That you follow now, the assistant.
Rodney.
Yes, sir. Rodney. Really
I watched. I think he probably played for Coach Helms. Maybe I'm wrong.
There was
but he went to
Ricky
Troy.
Bray played at Tennessee Chattanooga.
And I watched him because I covered him a little in high school. And you rarely zero in on an offensive lineman in a game, but I would zero in on him on TV or in person. He was awesome.
Mike, what we got to look forward to? Of course, Alabama, most all the schedules are in, and anything surprising to you?
You got SEC Media Day wrapping up down in Destin, right down the road.
And they said that Saban and Jimbo shook hands and hugged each other's neck.
Yeah, the LSU AD made a funny quote yesterday about the Saban Fisher feud. He said, "I'm not going to get in between two hillbillies."
That's about right.
I guess because they're both from West Virginia.
No, but I wouldn't think Saban doesn't carry himself as a hillbilly, I don't think. But that Jimbo does.
That's what the AD of LSU said, though. I thought that was a funny comment.
You know, I saw Jimbo in a football game against Troy in a tremendous game. And Troy ran back the kick. Troy ran back the kick.
Is storm brewing down there in the Gulf, Michael?
It's going to miss us. It's actually Absca came from the Pacific through Mexico, but it's going to hit South Florida as a tropical depression, tropical storm.
But will it be clear that we'll be able to go in the lake swimming this weekend?
I mean, it should be. I don't know. I've got to apparently sit through a dance recital this week.
Well, I was going to be there. I was going to be there for you, son. I was going to be there for you.
Stanford University plans on a $65 million athletic complex. $65 million.
Boy, that's pretty lot. You're right.
Stanford University. My goodness.
So I'm sure they'll try their best to go Division I, but I don't know if they can or not.
You think so?
Well, they're Division I in every.
I know. Well, I know it. That's right. But they would love
yes,
to.
They,
are they the Bulldogs?
I say Alabama. Troy is Alabama's most beautiful campus.
Stanford's got a beautiful campus.
That would be the runner-up, or the one that's in.
Are they the Bulldogs? What's their
Stanford Bulldogs?
Had two first cousins.
I think the University of Alabama has a real pretty quad area.
But Alabama's grown so much in the last 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah. Boy State is going on at the capstone this week. KC Bradford.
I thought we had Boy State. We have Girl State. Troy, don't we?
I know KC Bradford and another fella, his uncle coaches at Ayrton.
Oh yeah, okay.
KC Bradford is a good football player. He played baseball.
He is.
He's a better football player, I think.
Who's head coach at Ayrton?
Gilchrist, yeah.
Gilchrist, yeah.
Davis Gilchrist is the other young man. I don't know who's representing.
Well, watch Ayrton. Mike and I went to one of their games last year, and they were loaded with young, good talent.
They have a quarterback that really was good, no question.
Good.
I would like to also say hello to Tucker Gilchrist as he enters his college for the first time,
and I think
he'll be he'll be here on hand all summer long. And Tucker, good luck to you, man. I know you can do it. It tickled me pink to see old Tucker come in and make a great.
Well, but, it's what Coach Saban tells these hotshot high school players all the time. He says, you weren't a hotshot high school football player when you were a freshman. You became one when you were a junior and senior, probably. So be patient. Don't if you're not a star or playing right away. Don't
great
give
advice.
up.
That's great advice, right?
We talk all the time about how the high schools, football programs can get out there and start practicing on June 1st, which was yesterday. You think Hugh Fountain, being an old school football coach, coaching in private school the last 10 years, you think White Liberal Arts is going to be out on the field already? You think they're going to wait a couple?
All right, let me tell you something.
Today, I know. He's meeting with some at 10
I've got somebody. I need the last 2 minutes. Give me. I'm sorry. Yesterday at Troy, Mike, they had over 500 football players at their camp.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm telling you, over 500. I saw them together, and I've never seen a football camp anywhere this large at Troy.
That's Coach Summerall working his program, buddy.
I like him.
Let me tell you, I watched him. The group.
The drill sergeant.
Man, that was an impressive sight.
Well, I noticed they had a bunch of tents set up on the top practice field, and I said that must be a camp coming.
There was football camp, and it was beautiful. And I would say between 400 and 500 kids visited Troy, and see the unreal thing. Alabama and Auburn are both having camps just like it at their school. And it's just amazing that Troy drew that kind of.
Well, that brings a lot of parents and
brothers
and uncles and coaches into town. Good for the economy.
And you know, and I talked to one guy, and he said his kid was going to be just a sophomore. I said, gosh, well, what does he do? He said he's running back. I said, is he really that good? He said he's one of the best in the country. That's what he said about it. He's going to be a 10th grader next year.
Wow.
We hope you've enjoyed our show, and we'll be with us bright and early. Forrest, we always love having you on the show, and Bill Rice and Mike, of course, from Grayton Beach. We'll see you tomorrow bright and early for Today in L.A.